was 3 days into my work trip in Austin when my neighbor sent me a photo that made my blood run cold. A moving truck sat in my driveway, and my mother was directing two men carrying my couch out of my living room. The message said, "Thought you should know someone's clearing out your place." I stared at that image for a full minute, my coffee going cold in my hand. Then I smiled, set down my phone, and opened my laptop because what my parents didn't know was that I'd installed cameras 2 weeks earlier. And what those cameras had already captured would change everything. Before I tell you what happened when I got home, tell me, where are you listening from? And if someone tried to take over your house, what would you do? My name is Aviana, and for most of my 29 years, I learned how to be the responsible one. Not because I wanted the role, but because my parents needed someone to play it. Growing up in Sacramento, I was the kid who finished homework early, saved birthday money, and never asked for much. My younger brother Ethan got the loud enthusiasm, the sports trophies, the college fund that mysteriously replenished itself. I got praise for being low maintenance and a quiet expectation that I'd always figure things out on my own. I did figure it out. By 22, I'd landed a solid tech consulting job. By 26, I'd saved enough for a down payment on a small 2-bedroom house in a quiet neighborhood near Folsom Lake. It wasn't a mansion, but it was mine. Every mortgage payment, every repair, every piece of furniture, mine. The day I got the keys, I called my parents excited, hoping they'd be proud. My dad said congratulations, then asked if Ethan could store some boxes in my garage. My mom wondered out loud if the neighborhood was safe enough. I should have recognized the pattern then. But hope has a way of blinding you to things you don't want to see. My cousin Brianna entered the picture about a year ago. She was 24, freshly unemployed after her third job in 2 years, and according to my mother, going through a difficult phase. Brianna had always been the family's project, the one everyone rallied around with excuses. She's sensitive. She's creative. She just needs time to find herself. What nobody wanted to say was that Brianna expected the world to accommodate her while she figured out what accommodating herself might look like. At a family dinner last spring, my mother brought it up casually, as if the idea had just occurred to her. "You know, Aviana, you have that extra bedroom. Maybe Brianna could stay with you for a few months while she gets back on her feet." I looked up from my plate. "I use that room as an office, Mom." "You could move your desk into the living room," she said, smiling as if this were a completely reasonable suggestion. It would really help the family. The family. That phrase always came up when they wanted something from me. I said no that night, politely but firmly. And I thought that was the end of it. But the requests didn't stop. They just got quieter, more indirect. Brianna herself started texting me, asking about my neighborhood, my work schedule, whether I had a spare key. My mom would mention during phone calls how Brianna was struggling to find affordable rent, how stressful it must be for her. My dad suggested I think about what family means. I held my ground. I'd worked too hard for my space, my peace, my independence. I wasn't going to hand it over just because someone else hadn't planned their life as carefully. Then, 3 weeks ago, my manager told me about a work conference in Austin. 5 days, all expenses paid, a chance to present our latest project to potential clients. I booked my flight immediately. The morning I left, I remember standing in my kitchen, double-checking that the windows were locked, that the thermostat was set, that everything was secure. Something felt off, a kind of buzzing intuition I couldn't name. So I did something I'd been considering for weeks. I installed security cameras. 3 of them. One covering the front door, one in the living room, one in the hallway. Wireless, cloud-connected, motion-activated. I told myself it was just for peace of mind, that I was probably being paranoid. But paranoia, I'd learn, was just pattern recognition trying to protect me. I flew to Austin on a Monday. The conference was exactly what I needed: engaging panels, late-night networking, a chance to focus on my career instead of my family's endless expectations. By Wednesday, I'd almost forgotten to check the camera app on my phone. Almost. That's when my neighbor Jennifer sent the photo. I opened it during a lunch break, standing in the convention center lobby with a sandwich I suddenly couldn't eat. The moving truck. My mother in my driveway. Two men I didn't recognize carrying my furniture like they had every right to be there. My hands didn't shake. My pulse didn't spike. Instead, something cold and clear settled into my chest. I opened the camera app and scrolled back through the motion-detected clips. What I found was worse than I'd imagined. Tuesday morning, 9 a.m. My parents' car pulled into my driveway. My mother got out first, walking up to my front door with a key I definitely hadn't given her. She unlocked it, stepped inside, and held the door open for my father and Brianna. They walked through my house like they owned it. Brianna wandered from room to room, pointing at things, laughing. My mother opened closets, checked cabinets, made notes on her phone. My father measured the living room with a tape measure. Then came Tuesday afternoon. Another clip, this one showing my mother on the phone, gesturing as she spoke. I couldn't hear what she was saying, but her expression was animated, excited. She ended the call, then turned to Brianna and said something that made my cousin clap her hands together. Wednesday morning, the moving truck arrived. That's when Jennifer took her photo. But the cameras captured so much more. They showed Brianna directing the movers, pointing at my couch, my bookshelf, my dining table. They showed my mother standing in the center of my living room, hands on her hips, nodding with satisfaction as my belongings were carried out. And then, the clip that made everything clear. Brianna sat on the floor of my now empty living room, scrolling through her phone, while my mother stood behind her. "You'll love it here," my mother said. "And Aviana won't mind once she understands it's already done." Already done. As if my opinion was an afterthought. As if my house, my life, my boundaries were negotiable. I saved every clip, every timestamp, every angle. Then I closed the app, finished my sandwich, and went back to the conference. Because I wasn't reacting anymore. I was planning. The next 2 days in Austin felt surreal. I smiled through panels, shook hands with potential clients, delivered my presentation with the kind of focus that only comes from channeling rage into precision. At night, alone in my hotel room, I reviewed the footage again and again, building a timeline, noting every detail. Thursday evening, my mother called. Her voice was bright, almost sing-songy. "Hi, sweetheart. How's the conference?" "Good," I said, keeping my tone light. "Busy." "That's wonderful." "Listen, I wanted to let you know Brianna's been having such a hard time. We found her a great little place, and she's moving in this week." My grip on the phone tightened. "Oh? Where?" A pause, just a beat too long. "A friend's place. Very affordable." "She's so relieved." I let the lie sit between us. "That's great, Mom. I'm happy for her. I knew you'd understand. You've always been so practical." Practical. The word they used when they meant compliant. "Yeah," I said. "I'm very practical." When we hung up, I opened my laptop and started drafting emails. One to my lawyer, a family friend who owed me a favor. One to my security company, requesting full access to all footage. And one to my landlord insurance agent, asking about coverage for unauthorized entry. I didn't sleep much that night. But when I finally did, I dreamed of keys turning in locks that no longer recognized them. Friday morning, I caught an early flight home. The conference ended Thursday, but I'd told my parents I wouldn't be back until Saturday. That extra day was intentional. I wanted to see what they'd do when they thought I was still gone. I landed in Sacramento just after noon, picked up my car from long-term parking, and drove straight to my neighborhood. I parked 2 streets over, out of sight, and walked the rest of the way. My house looked different. The curtains were open, something I never did. A new doormat sat on the porch, bright yellow with the word "Welcome" in looping script. I didn't go inside. Not yet. Instead, I sat in my car, opened the camera app, and watched the live feed. Brianna was sprawled on an air mattress in my living room, scrolling through her phone. The room was nearly empty, just the mattress, a few boxes, and a folding chair. My furniture was gone. My photos were gone. The bookshelf my grandfather built was gone. My jaw tightened, but I didn't move. Not yet. Because I needed them to think they'd won. I needed them to believe I'd come home, see the fait accompli, and accept it the way I'd accepted everything else they'd ever asked of me. At 3 p.m., I drove to my lawyer's office. David Park had known my family for years, but he'd also watched me grow up, watched me work for everything I had. When I showed him the footage, his expression shifted from surprise to something darker. "Aviana," he said carefully, "this is trespassing. Potentially theft. Do you want to press charges?" I considered it. Then I shook my head. "Not yet. I want them out first. Cleanly, legally, undeniably." He nodded. "I can draft an eviction notice. But since Brianna's not on any lease, it's technically an unauthorized occupant situation. We can expedite it." "How fast?" "If we file today, she'll have 72 hours to vacate. After that, law enforcement can assist with removal." "Do it," I said. By 5 p.m., the paperwork was filed. By 6 p.m., I was sitting in Jennifer's living room, explaining everything. She listened with wide eyes, occasionally glancing out her window toward my house. "I knew something was weird," she said. "Your mom kept saying you'd approved everything, but it didn't feel right." "It wasn't right," I said. "And tomorrow it ends." That night, I stayed at a hotel near the airport. I could have stayed with Jennifer, but I needed space to think, to prepare for what was coming. I ordered room service, reviewed the footage one more time, and set my alarm for 6 a.m. Saturday morning, I drove home. This time, I didn't park down the street. I pulled directly into my driveway, turned off the engine, and sat there for a moment, letting the weight of what I was about to do settle into my bones. Then I got out, walked up to my front door, and used my key. The lock turned smoothly. I stepped inside. Brianna was in the kitchen, making coffee in a machine I didn't recognize. She looked up, startled, then smiled like we were old friends running into each other at a coffee shop. "Aviana, you're back early." "Surprise." I set my bag down slowly. "Surprise," I repeated. She gestured around the empty space. "I know it looks different, but don't worry. Your stuff is safe. We stored it." "Stored it," I said. "Where?" "Your parents have a storage unit. It's all there. We just needed to make room." I nodded, letting her words hang in the air. "And who decided that?" Her smile faltered. "Well, your mom thought." "My mom doesn't live here," I interrupted. "I do." The kitchen went quiet. Brianna's smile disappeared entirely. "Look, I know this is sudden, but your mom said you'd be okay with it once you saw how much it helped me. I really needed this, Aviana. And I really need you to leave." Her face twisted. "What?" "Leave," I repeated. "This is my house. You don't have permission to be here. Your mom gave me permission." "My mom doesn't own this house." "I do." Brianna's expression shifted from confusion to indignation. "You're seriously going to kick me out? After everything I'm going through?" "Yes," I said simply. She stared at me like I'd just spoken a foreign language. Then she pulled out her phone. "I'm calling your mom." "Go ahead," I said. "She'll be here soon anyway." While Brianna called, I walked through the rest of the house. My bedroom was untouched, probably because they planned to move her in slowly, piece by piece, until I couldn't push back without looking cruel. My office was empty, my desk gone, my filing cabinet gone. The hallway closet was full of Brianna's clothes. I took photos of everything. Every empty room, every box, every trace of the invasion. Then I went back to the living room and waited. My mother arrived 20 minutes later, my father right behind her. They walked in without knocking, and the look on my mother's face when she saw me was priceless. Not guilt. Surprise. "Aviana, you said you'd be back tomorrow." "I came back early," I said. "Good thing, too." My father glanced around the empty room, then at me. "I know this looks strange, but let us explain." "I don't need an explanation," I said. "I need my furniture back, and I need Brianna out." My mother's expression hardened. "Don't be dramatic. Brianna needed help, and you have space." "Had space," I corrected. Past tense. "Because you gave it away without asking me." "We're family," my mother said, as if that explained everything. "Family helps each other." "Family respects boundaries," I shot back. "Family doesn't break into someone's house and move their belongings without permission." My father stepped forward. We have a key. You gave it to us for emergencies. This wasn't an emergency. This was theft. The word landed like a stone in water, sending ripples of shock across their faces. Theft, my mother repeated, voice rising. We didn't steal anything. We're storing it safely. You took my property without consent. That's theft. Brianna spoke up from the kitchen doorway. I can't believe you're being so selfish right now. I turned to her slowly. You broke into my house, removed my belongings, and moved in without my permission. And I'm the selfish one. I didn't break in. Your parents let me in. My parents don't have the right to let you in. I'm the only one on the deed. I'm the only one who pays the mortgage. I'm the only one who gets to decide who lives here. My mother scoffed. This is ridiculous. You're overreacting. Am I? I pulled out my phone and opened the camera app. Because I have footage of all of you letting yourselves in, going through my things, and coordinating with movers. That's not overreacting. That's evidence. The room went dead silent. My father's face paled. My mother's mouth opened, then closed. Brianna looked at the floor. You recorded us? My mother whispered. I recorded my home, I corrected. You just happened to be trespassing in it. My father ran a hand through his hair. Aviana, we didn't think you'd mind. You're always so understanding. Understanding isn't the same as being a doormat, I said. And I'm done being treated like one. I reached into my bag and pulled out the eviction notice. Brianna, you have 72 hours to remove yourself and your belongings from this property. After that, law enforcement will assist. Brianna snatched the paper, scanning it with disbelief. You can't do this. Where am I supposed to go? That's not my problem, I said. You should have thought about that before moving into someone's house without permission. My mother stepped forward, her voice shaking. If you go through with this, you'll regret it. Family doesn't treat family this way. You're right, I said. They don't. But you did. And now you're facing the consequences. My father tried one more time. Please, Aviana. Let's talk about this. We're done talking, I said. You have until Monday evening. After that, I'm calling the police. They stood there for a long moment, staring at me like I was a stranger. Maybe I was. Maybe the version of me they thought they knew, the one who bent and adapted and swallowed her frustration, had finally stopped existing. My mother turned and walked out first, shoulders rigid. My father followed, silent. Brianna lingered, glaring at me. You're going to regret this, she hissed. No, I said. I really won't. When the door closed behind them, I stood in the center of my empty living room and let out a breath I'd been holding for years. The next 72 hours were tense. Brianna avoided me entirely, moving her things out in stages, slamming doors, making pointed comments under her breath. My parents called twice, both times trying to guilt me into changing my mind. I didn't answer. On Monday evening, a sheriff's deputy arrived to oversee the final removal. Brianna left without saying a word, dragging the last of her boxes to a car my mother had parked outside. The deputy checked the house, confirmed it was clear, and handed me a report. You're all set, ma'am. Property's secure. Thank you, I said. After he left, I stood in the doorway and watched my parents' car pull away, Brianna in the passenger seat, staring straight ahead. I didn't feel victorious. I didn't feel vindicated. I just felt tired. Over the next 2 weeks, I retrieved my furniture from the storage unit my parents had rented. Piece by piece, I rebuilt my space. The couch went back in the living room. The bookshelf returned to its corner. My grandfather's table found its place by the window. My parents didn't call. Brianna blocked me on social media. My brother Ethan sent a single text that said, "Mom's upset." Was that really necessary? I didn't respond. If he couldn't see why it was necessary, no explanation would help. Instead, I focused on what I could control. I changed the locks. I upgraded the security system. I set boundaries that were clear, firm, and non-negotiable. And slowly, my house started feeling like mine again. 3 months later, I'm sitting on my couch, the one I almost lost, in the house I fought to keep. The cameras are still running. The locks are still changed. And for the first time in my life, I'm not waiting for someone to take something from me. People talk about family like it's sacred, like blood ties mean you owe infinite patience, infinite grace, infinite space. But the truth is simpler. You don't owe anyone access to your peace. Not your parents. Not your cousins. Not anyone who treats your boundaries like suggestions. What my parents did wasn't love. It was control. And the moment I stopped letting them control me, they didn't know what to do. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself is to stop being kind to people who mistake your kindness for weakness. If this story resonated with you, share your thoughts in the comments. And if you've ever had to defend your space, your peace, or your boundaries, you're not alone. Subscribe for more real family stories. Sometimes the strongest thing you can say is just one word. No.